where eventually I even received the Golden Lion for the life achievement. So as you can see, I am quite well connected with Italian culture.
È reduce da una bellissima affermazione a Cannes, il Gran Premio della giuria. Si aspettava che il suo film, la sua favola, incontrasse così tanto favore. Questa vittoria l'ha sorpreso oppure no?
Are you asking if I was surprised by the Cannes award?
Yes.
Yeah, I was surprised that I only got a jury prize. Quite many people kept telling me that Io was the best film of the festival. So I was expecting a different award. And sorry for the honesty.
Mi dispiace per l'onestà, per la sincerità.
È una favola, è stata definita una favola, ma anche la visione del mondo attraverso gli occhi di un animale, di un asino. Ed è una storia, penso, lunga per lei, perché ho letto che proprio dal film di Bresson, Balthasar, è stato un film che l'ha molto colpita, che l'ha molto commossa in anni giovanili, e quindi è un progetto che viene da lontano.
Yes, there is a lot of truth in what you said, but Azar Balthasar was not the only influence which pushed me into making my film. Yes, Azar Balthasar, which I have seen when I was 20-something. The year it came out, it was 1965, I guess, or 64. Impressed me so much that was the only film I ever shared a tear from my eye at the very end, when the poor donkey of Bresson's film died. It really had an effect on me, like, I don't know, breaking my heart. And I learned one thing, you know. When we see the animal dying in the film, we know that it is not acting, that it's for real. And this is why it is so touching. So that reflection I really owe to Robert de Bresson. He taught me that in a way we tend to care more about the donkey than the people around the animal watching Bresson's film. So that was a big lesson for me. And in practical terms, I actually, making Io, find out that really the best parts of the film is where the donkey is present on the screen when we are watching the animal, his reactions, expressions of his mouth, and we really care at those moments. So I have to admit that the human parts in my film, which were quite many, because a human plays the episodes, you know, the donkey goes from the beginning until the end of the film, and the human characters are appearing for a scene or two or three, and eventually I shortened them. Almost every human part in a movie, although some of the actors were like world stars. We had Isabelle Huppert playing in a movie. We had Lorenzo Zurzolo. We had some great Polish stars, some of the best Polish actors. But I have to admit that I shorten their parts. You know, they seem to me to be less important than the animal, and therefore in the final shape of the film, the donkey is really the leading character. And I must tell you that, technically speaking, of course, it wasn't just one animal, because it wouldn't be possible. The film is a story of an animal going from Poland to Italy. It would be difficult to transport the real animal from one country to the other, and using the same animal in many different locations and scenes. So eventually I decided that I will choose the brand of the donkey, which would be quite popular both in Poland and Italy. And I have chosen the Sardinian brand of the donkey, which characterized with the black hair going from the top of the head until its tail, and then across the shoulders another line of black hair making a cross. Altogether it makes the animal very beautiful, very spectacular. So altogether there were 6 different donkeys playing the same part. I know by heart every single name of those donkeys, and I got the audience laughing when I was receiving the award in Cannes. I said, first of all, I want to thank to my donkeys, and thank you Ola, thank you Taco, thank you Marietta, thank you Ettore. That was Ettore, a beautiful little donkey from Sicily, and 2 other. One was called Mela, and the other was Rocco. So those were the 6 animals and thank them for their effort.
C'è anche un messaggio animalista in questo film, lei è animalista, a questo punto dobbiamo credere, vista la delicatezza con la quale appunto sta parlando di animali.
Well, generally speaking, I do love animals, and I do take care of them. I always, all my life, I always had a dog, quite many cats as well. But I never had donkey.
Gli asini appunto sono sardi, siciliani, ci sono state location italiane in questo film e poi volevamo chiederle di questo giovane attore Zurzalo che è molto popolare tra i giovani italiani, volevamo capire che impressione le ha fatto.
What was the impression you got from this actor?
He's an excellent actor. He's a very handsome young man, and I believe he's going to be a huge world star in a movie. I think he's got the potential to become somebody like Rudolph Valentino. And he's intelligent and he's very modest, I must say. So far. But I am afraid that all those lovely girls which will surround him will probably change his attitude a little bit more. Maybe he will not be as modest as he is now.
Ci sono altre domande sul film dei colleghi, altrimenti diciamo chiedo.
Sono delle location.
Sì, le location italiane, sì, dove è stato girato.
Film in Italy, where did you film them? Where did you make the shooting?
Basically, it was all around Lazio, both north from Roma and south. We had one particular place, I don't remember the name of it, where one of the donkeys called Marietta was located, because she was a unique performer. With her owner, they were doing a kind of tricky performance. Marietta learned how to pretend that she's dying. She was trained to lie down on the ground without any movement, and the owner was reanimating her, taking her front legs up and down like that, and then even giving her the mouth-to-mouth. Exactly. So, because I decided to start the film with scene like this, we couldn't risk of bringing Marietta to Poland or any other place. We had to go there to the little village in Lazio, and there in that stable where Marietta was living, we organized the whole set. We decorated, put our light, and I brought the Polish actress who was playing this person who is reanimating the animal.
Sul film si sono esaurite.
Se ci può dire,
chiedo
se ci può dire, c'è il gelato, altrimenti non la sentiamo. No, se ci può dire il messaggio fondamentale che vuole dare con questo film. What's the main message that you want to convey through this movie?
The main message is quite obvious, you know. Look at the animals with a different eye.
Guardare gli animali con uno sguardo diverso, con un occhio diverso.
Don't treat them as objects.
Non trattateli come oggetti.
Treat them as a living brothers of ours, and treat them with respect, with care, and try to eat less of them. I myself cut eating the meat for about 70 or 80%, and I would be happy if this film would make some other people do the same. That's one of the messages, and the other one is about the animals which were used for fair, you know. That's the most cruel treatment the animals can receive. I have a scene in the movie in the farm of the foxes, and we shot it in a real farm, and we shot practically the normal activity, normal everyday activity of treating those animals. And I must tell you, we were all sick. All my crew, including myself, were just sick witnessing this. It's unbelievable cruelty, and that has to be stopped. I hope that my film would at least help this issue a little bit.
Grazie. Per un lungo periodo lei ha smesso di fare il regista, comunque ha fatto altro, soprattutto fatto il pittore. Volevamo sapere qual è il suo rapporto con la pittura, se è ancora un'attività che le prende, le interessa, le prende molto, oppure se è stato un periodo della sua vita in cui si è rigenerato con la pittura.
One thing I have to say, there is a huge difference between making films and painting. first of all, when you paint, you are alone. You are responsible for every square centimeter of the canvas, and it's only only a painter's responsibility of the final shape of the painting. In film, it's a work of the ensemble, and the number of talents which are grouped for making the film, it's unbelievable. You know, it's always dozen and dozen of people. So actually, it's not really totally fair that then the film is signed by the director like it is his creation. It's not right. It's a creation of the ensemble of many people. And of course, I accept it, and I am aware of that fact. But my ambition, my quest for showing my own talent was always pushing me towards painting, because, as I said, that's me. That's what you see. When you see my painting, you know that it was done by myself only, and then the talent involved in it is the single one, only the painters. So that's a huge difference.
Quindi è un'attività che continua a praticare con piacere, insomma, anche quando fa il regista.
Sorry, I
So
don't
you
know.
continue to paint even when you direct movies?
Well, I never do the two jobs at the same time. Either I make the film or I paint. I used to say metaphorically that perhaps those are the different part of brain involved in both in making the film and a different part of brain involved in painting. So most likely for that reason, I never managed to do the two things at the same time. Also, because when I paint, I'm getting into the kind of stage of Zen nearly, you know, it's a kind of spiritual trance, I would say. Where we're making the film, you know, you're far away from Zen and far away from trance. You work like in a noisy factory where people are running around, screaming and quarreling, etc., etc. So it's not Zen at all.
chiarissimo.
Francesco?
Sì.
Posso chiedere?
Sì,
Assolutamente. Una domanda. Lei è stato definito in molti modi un regista eccentrico, ribelle, contestatario, ma mi ha colpito una definizione, cioè il regista con la valigia, perché nella sua vita e durante la sua lunga carriera lei è stato spesso fuori dal suo paese, la Polonia, ha realizzato film in Belgio, nel Regno Unito, e volevo chiederle, conosce la situazione di una persona che è lontana dal proprio paese? Tre piccole domande su una questione molto delicata. Quanto la fa soffrire l'idea che il suo paese stia costruendo un muro contro i profughi che arrivano dalla Bielorussia? C'è qualcosa che non abbiamo capito di questa decisione del suo paese? E poi se è vero che ha salvato un gruppo ha ospitato un gruppo di turisti polacchi a Londra all'indomani della legge marziale nel suo paese, credo agli inizi degli anni '80. Grazie.
I think you touch quite many subjects in your question. Maybe we could simplify it into a kind of one direction, and maybe you can ask the direct question what you really want to hear from me.
Quanto la fa soffrire la decisione del suo paese di costruire un muro contro i profughi?
The decision of your country to build a wall against refugees make you suffer?
La fa arrabbiare?
Does it make you angry?
Well, it's not that simple as you put it into your words.
Così semplice come l'hai espressa tu.
I try to explain maybe not in a perfect way, but what I understand about that war that was a political game involving the relationship between three countries, Poland, Russia and Belarus. Actually 4 countries, because Ukraine also came into that very difficult situation. So it started with the idea of the Belarusian imperator Lukashenko, who got an idea that he will open his borders for the refugees and push them or even help them to be transported into the Polish border, and then trying to push them into Poland. Now, it was proved that many of those so-called immigrants were not real immigrants, but they were carefully selected groups of people whose task eventually supposed to be a disruption of the political situation in Poland And it proved to be a preparation
rivelata una preparazione
for the Russian aggression
per l'aggressione della
against
Russia contro
Ukraine. So it was very difficult
Quindi è stata
situation,
una situazione molto difficile,
very ambiguous,
molto ambigua.
and initially
E inizialmente
Polish people
il popolo
were welcoming those immigrants, but
accoglieva quegli immigrati,
after it was proved that many of them
che è stato dimostrato che molti di loro
were not
non erano
real honest immigrants,
veri immigranti,
but
onesti,
were
ma
used as a political disruption forces
come forze
that had to be stopped.
correnti politiche. Questa cosa è stata bloccata, fermata.
So this is why the wall was
È
built.
stato costruito
But still
comunque.
there were the ways that the immigrants, that the real honest immigrants could come to Poland
C'erano
through
modi in cui i
controlled
immigrati
posts when
onesti
they could be checked.
potevano entrare in Polonia attraverso dei posti dove venivano, dei varchi dove venivano controllati.
So that's all I can say about
Questo è
this
quanto posso
subject.
dire al riguardo.
Grazie. Allora, tornando al cinema, volevo chiederle se è possibile che ci dica qualcosa sulla sua recente collaborazione con Polanski per il prossimo film sulla sceneggiatura. È una collaborazione che viene da lontano, immagino veramente da tantissimi anni, dal coltello nell'acqua, da un film molto di molti anni fa, e ora c'è una nuova collaborazione. Quindi come si trova a lavorare con Polanski e appunto su questa sceneggiatura?
Roman and I were working on the script for Knife in the Water, for his very first
Abbiamo
movie.
lavorato insieme alla sceneggiatura per il suo primissimo film Il coltello nell'acqua.
At the moment when he actually finished film school,
Lui aveva appena finito la scuola cinematografica.
and I was going through my entry exams into the school, because there were
l'esame di
like
accesso alla scuola di cinema.
5 years age difference between us.
Abbiamo 5 anni di differenza.
And Roman spotted me among those potential candidates for
I
the
potenziali candidati
to become the film school students,
studenti
and approached me and said,
di cinema. Mi avvicinò quindi
"Hey, since you're here
dal momento che sei qui
for quite many days now, because the exams took like 2 weeks,
sono durati circa 2 settimane, durarono circa 2 settimane.
let's try to write a script together."
Cercare insieme, cerchiamo di scrivere insieme una sceneggiatura.
And this is how we managed to write Knife in the Water.
Siamo riusciti a scrivere Il coltello nell'acqua.
Now, many years later, actually it was last year,
Anzi, è stato l'anno scorso.
suddenly Roman
All'improvviso Roman
called me and
mi
said,
ha
"Look,
chiamato e mi ha detto:
I'm trying to write
sto cercando di
the
scrivere
script,
la sceneggiatura
which I have an idea for quite a long time,
ho un'idea da tanto tempo
and I tried to write it
e ho cercato di scriverla
with some well-known
insieme
authors,
ad autori,
but for
molto
some
noti,
reason it doesn't
ma
work.
per qualche ragione che non conosco non funziona.
So,
Quindi
shall we try to write it now?
proviamo a scriverla scriverla insieme?
So my answer was, Roman, is that your act of desperation
Roman, è un atto di disperazione il tuo o cosa?
or what is it? And he said, no, look, the subject is such that
L'argomento è tale per cui
it somehow reminds me of
mi ricorda un po'
our early work
il nostro primissimo lavoro insieme.
and there is a kind of humor in it,
Un umorismo
a little bit surrealistic, a dark humor.
reale, uno humor dark, umorismo dark.
At Roman's chalet in Gstaad,
Nel chalet di Roman Polanski a Gstaad,
and he introduced me into the scenery, which is one of the most beautiful and well-known luxurious establishment, and beautiful at the same time. It looks like I don't know,
sembra, non so,
16th century castle.
un castello del XVI secolo.
And we started to work on the idea which Roman had, and the idea was that it is the New Year's Eve of the year 1999, which is the last day of the 20th century, where people were full of hopes for the 21st century, but at the same time there was some kind of panic that because of changing all four numbers of the year, instead of 1999, it would become 2000, and that would have the effect on all the electronic systems. So the planes would be falling down, the banking accounts wouldn't be any more secure, etc., etc., etc. And that panic was called Y2K. Y2K, which is Y for year and 2K for 2000. And we are observing in that film and the script which we had written, all three of us together. We are observing these elite guests which were celebrating the New Year's Eve in Gstaad Palace Hotel, against the the people who were working, so it was like a classical English drama between the aristocracy and the working people. So we designed several characters from the prominent guests and several characters of the working people, and playing one side against the other, and playing those who were in panic because of this of the Y2K, against those who were saying, oh, don't worry, nothing will happen, the life will go on. The 21st century will be a wonderful new epoch for example, where the progress in medicine would stop all the possible disease. And as you see after pandemia, how wrong they were altogether, and that in the 21st century there will be no wars, wrong again, etc., etc. So after the script was written, and we were working quite fast, we spent maybe altogether 5 or 6 weeks in Inkstadt. The film went immediately into production. Several parts, actually, we were already writing with the specific names in mind. So immediately after we finished writing the script, Roman started to cast the film, and he got some phenomenal names. John Cleese is playing in the movie, Mickey Rourke, and many others. And he actually only maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago finished shooting the film, and hopefully it will be on the screen maybe towards the end of the year or early next year.
Grazie per questa anticipazione, abbiamo una enorme voglia di vedere questo film. Vorrei chiudere, se non ci sono altre domande, solo con una domanda: se ha un altro progetto come regista già in cantiere o per ora segue la promozione e la strada dell'ultimo film.
I'm very much involved now in the promotion of IO. The film was fortunately bought by so many countries, like never before any of my films. So I have many openings, many premieres in the different countries scheduled for several next months. But fortunately there were like gaps of 2-3 weeks in between, and I hope that I will manage to get back to painting.
Grazie mille.
No, è solo il titolo del film di Polanski.
The Palace. The Palace.
Se possiamo fare altre domande dopo, a chiusura,
Glielo chiediamo.
oppure adesso?
Va bene così, se non ci sono altre domande collettive, veramente grazie mille e buona permanenza a Ischia.